Demetrius Andrade, Jay, said that Devin Haney is someone that has not developed. He has not developed. He thought to a certain extent that Devin would end up being like Sugar Ray Leonard. He thought that he was going to go to that level, Jason. And now I disagree with Andrade on that.
Say that again.
Sugar Ray Leonard. Not even Sugar Shane Mosley. No, Sugar Ray Leonard. Say he's going to be like Sugar Ray Leonard. That's what he said.
Wow.
I have no idea. I completely disagree with how he was able to see, or how he saw a trajectory for Devin Haney to be at the level of Sugar Ray Leonard. It's beyond me. I don't know how he got there. But what he did say was that he never actually developed into what it was that he thought he would be. Well, of course, he's never going to develop into Sugar Ray Leonard. We understand that to begin with. But because of that lack of development, we've seen what we've seen over the last I guess the last fight he was in. He talked specifically about the situation between he and Devin Haney. Said Devin didn't look fast. Devin didn't look like he had any power, so forth and so on. And it's just like Devin got here and he just plateaued, right? And personally, I think that happens with a number of fighters, Jay. When you got somebody in your camp, and this is something, Jay, that I personally believe that all fighters need to be leery of, or weary of, whatever word I need to use there. But that is having people in your camp that are telling you, you are this, you are that, you are awesome, you are great, you are fantastic, you bring everything to the table, you are the face of boxing, you have this level of skill, you are the complete package, so forth and so on. All of these superlatives are things that will put a fighter in a position where they are going to lose eventually. And the reason why I say that is because they start believing their own press clippings, their own hype. They got basically, they don't have a hype man around. They got hype men around them. And eventually what ends up happening is they plateau. And then the next thing you know, those individuals, they catch a nice little L, right? And then they may catch another L. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what is going wrong? What do I need to do? And it's because you really have ascended to a certain level now. And some of that ascension was based off of hype and not you actually developing your skill set. And now there's that gap there, and there's not enough time for you to close that gap so that you can really be where it is that they say that you should be, because there's the stiff competition that you're gonna have to face. There is the whole situation where you don't have enough time to close that skill gap in order to face that next level of competition. So I think that that's something that probably happened to Devin, specifically over his last couple of fights, where he was able to become undisputed. That elevated him to a certain level, but I still saw that gap in his skill set. And then he was able to blow out Regis Prograis. And then they started talking about he's the face of boxing, could go up and fight at 147, which I think also elevated his level of confidence, but the skill set was still gapped. So that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people like, I'm not going to say no names, but there are going to be people that are going to say that's hate. That's not hate to me. I'm just keeping it real, Jay. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, one thing I will say about Devin recently tweeted out, said he finally had to cut his grass so he could see cut grass in the weeds so he could see who was around out there. He's shrunk his team, which is great. So hopefully that gave rid of a lot of those guys that you mentioned.
Is that what he meant though?
No, he said he's cut his team down. He said he cut his team down from being around like 20, 30 people to just being like 4 or 5, which is great. But if those 4 or 5 people around you still your yes man, ain't gonna do nothing. I always laughed at when we always said for the longest, we're like, Dev can fight, but talking about he can go up to 147, y'all, he tripping on that. On that. My problem with Dev, my thing with Dev was when he fought Regis was tailor-made for him, but we knew Regis could crack a little bit for him at 140 for that. But I was like, Dev gotta be disciplined, because he's been rocked maybe a few times, especially against Linares. Everyone thinks about Linares. But overall, he hasn't been really hurt too many times in all the fights that we've seen him. But he didn't have any discipline in the Ryan fight. Ryan had one weapon, left hook, and he landed repeatedly on it. And that's why it's evident that that's been a problem, because we did a video cut it up showing that Dev was getting hit with left hooks before in other fights. And Bill made a big point in his most recent interview with Marcos and Marcus Viega that they've been working on their left hook, protecting against that with Nate Jones. So obviously that's been a problem for a while for him. And it's kind of concerning that they just finally realized that. When you fight someone that's main weapon, the only weapon is the left hook, you don't realize that beforehand till after Dev gets caught with that. I give Dev credit all in the world for getting up, but saying that he was somewhere on the trajectory of Sugar Ray Leonard, that's laughable. I'm just gonna say Dev is gonna be the best Dev that Dev can be. He's nowhere near in that level of a Sugar Ray Leonard, man. Come on, now. Dev looked good early on, but he was also looking good against smaller fighters, older fighters. He fought someone that he didn't have the range on, he didn't have the speed on, and he struggled. He's struggling to fight. I give him, he got up after getting knocked down, but he struggled. So now we see him fighting someone else that's going to be around the same age, same height, same size. We'll see how he fights this time, how he looks this time. That's going to be a telltale sign about what Dev's going to be here on out.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you're saying in terms of telltale sign of what he's going to be. I think, and I've said this in the past, and this is why it's always interesting to me that people say that we're Devin Haney haters, because it's like when you see a critique of a fighter, you critique that gap. If you look at Devin, outside of power, Devin has a lot of attributes, natural attributes. He's fairly athletic. He has a pretty good skill set. He's fleet-footed. Those types of things. So he has a pretty good arsenal in terms of things that he brings to the table. But there's other things that he really needs to do in terms of just developing and further refining those tools, Jay. And if he were to do that, then he would go to that next level of fighter. But right now, he's just not there. And I would love to see him ultimately develop into that, because then you have stiffer competition. You have elite fighters all amongst those group of guys, and that's what we want to see in the sport of boxing. But again, if you say something that's not 100% in alignment with a certain fan base, whether it's regardless of who it is that we're talking about, then it's going to be a challenge from that particular fan base, and they're going to have issues with what it is you say. And that's how we've gotten the reputation in some boxing circles, not all, but in some boxing circles, particularly me as being a hater. But I don't think I'm a hater at all, man. I just think I'm someone that try to think a little bit outside of the box, Jay. That's how I'm gonna call it. I think a little bit outside of the box. But anyway, yeah. So